Peace and welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation, folks. We got a lot to talk about. First and foremost, today is National Voter Registration Day. Black votes count here, folks. Make sure that we're going to give you some insight and some information on how you can make sure that you are registered to vote in any upcoming election. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Also, let's talk about pollution and the high cost of pollution. We're going to be checking in to give you some insight as to what things are doing, what folks and organizations are doing to prevent the natural disaster of pollution. We'll have a little bit of conversation about that. Also, I'll check in with my man, my brother Scotty from Offscript TV. Can we talk about Coach Prime? Can we talk about Coco Gauff? Yes, we're going to be checking in with my man Scotty to talk about all things sports. And later on, I got a very heartbreaking story. Got a very heartbreaking story about two Black women here in Los Angeles, and I need your help to make sure that this story goes viral, and more importantly, that the family of these two sisters find peace and justice. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So stay with us. It's all happening on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Man, oh man, happy Tuesday to all of you, and happy Tuesday to my online culture crew. Folks, we are streaming all over the place. Make sure y'all do your due diligence and join us in the streams. We're streaming on our home website of blackstarnetwork.com. You can definitely check us out there. Show your support. Follow us on social media. The blackstarnetwork.com is your premier source for news and information about what's happening in Black America. We're streaming there. We're also streaming on Amazon News on your Fire TV. So make sure you do your due diligence. Let your friends and family know that we are streaming there as well. We're on Plex TV 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Big shout out to Plex for their continued support. And we are on social media. You can find us on Facebook, and we are also on YouTube. And you just take a look at Roland Martin's YouTube page. That's where we are. And join us in the chat and be a part of the culture crew for the day. Big shout out to my online culture crew, and folks are already checking in from all over the country. Lori Parks, good afternoon. My brother Damon Blissett, thank you so much for checking in. Peace, brother Damon. Peace, Lori. Peace, Anastasia. Good to see you once again. My big brother Willie Frazier, good afternoon to you too, brother Willie. My sister Karen Connor. Sister Karen, thank you so much. Pauline, I see you checking in from Cleveland all the time. Kathleen Davis, thank you so much. What's up, Kathleen? Good to connect with you once again. Cindy D, thank you so much for taking time out your schedule to be with us. Janice Walker, hi Janice. Thank you so much for being a part of the conversation. And Elwanda Bennett. Elwanda, thank you so much for joining us in the chat today and being part of the online culture crew. It's certainly a pleasure to have you with us. My man, Conscious Thought, always dropping jewels in the chat. Conscious Thought, thank you so much, sir, for once again being with us. All right, folks, I see more folks are checking in. And big shout out to Treva Jones. Treva Jones, let's give her a big horn, something, because she has officially joined the Bring the Funk fan club at a level 1 investor. So Treva, thank you so much for your investment in Black Star Network and the great work that we are trying to do each and every day. So I appreciate you so much, Treva, for your support. All right, folks, let's talk about it. Today is National Voter Registration Day. Let me get that word out there. How about that? National Voter Registration Day. And this is the day where we are trying to encourage people to go out and vote. Now, I know there's time frames and differences. So here in Los Angeles, it's about 12:27. So folks still have some time. But if you're in other parts of the country, make sure you make an effort to get people registered to vote. Go to your local your local voter registration center, whether it's the state or to the city. But if you have not registered to vote, folks, we encourage you to do so. Be a part of what is called participatory politics. And when you get yourself registered to vote, you are putting yourself into the game, right? Putting yourself into the process. Now, as we always talk about here on this show, that yes, it's important to vote, but you can't just vote and then not do nothing to not make your vote a reality. So that's the next step. But the first step is to get registered to vote. We are officially, folks, 413 days from the national election that's going to be November 5th, 2024. 413 days. It might seem like it's eons away, but in reality, and based upon how life goes, when life is really lifing, it's like around the corner. Next thing you know, you'd be like, what? We're voting for president. We're voting for Senate, Congress people. We're voting for governors and mayors and everything. We're voting for these people. Yes, National Voter Registration Day. I want to let y'all know there's one place that you can go to get registered to vote if you're not registered, or even more importantly, if you need to change information, like you may have moved from one place to another, moved from a different state, making sure that your voter information is all accurate and up to date. It makes a huge difference, folks. It makes a huge difference, especially when you're talking about registering in some of these hotly contested elections that's going to be happening on more of a local level than on the national level. But your vote means something. So if you haven't registered to vote, go to vote.gov. And let me just let my team know. There we go, vote.gov. This is the official website where you can get registered to vote. Let's make that a big screen, please, Lise. We want to invite you to go to vote.gov, register to vote. As you can see, it's very easy. Where do you live? Once you put that information in there, it's very easy to get registered to vote, folks. And here's the challenge. This is the big challenge I want to put there before you. Let's see if we can get at least 2 to 3 other people registered to vote. Can we do that? Can we do that? Can we get 2 to 3 other people registered to vote? Now, some people act like getting registered to vote is like a death sentence. You know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, I got to give my information. It's about voting, folks. It's the same thing with the census. Like, I take part in the census every time it comes around because I understand that you want to be counted for a number of different reasons. And same thing for voting. I know that we might have our quarrels. I know that we might have our difference of opinions about this political system and this governing system that we're all a part of. But one thing is for certain, that if you don't vote, it's not quite the same. And I respect people who abstain from voting. I don't understand if you've never voted. But I understand if you voted it's a few times and then you're like, maybe not this time. I mean, I get that. But I do understand the importance of being counted. And more importantly, just to get into the exercise, this larger idea of participating in a political system that requires your input. I understand it. And guess what? I value it. It's a priority. Like I said, I vote every time voting comes up. And I vote my conscience. I don't vote, just to say I voted. I actually vote for candidates that I think that speak to my interests. So I want to do the same thing. I want to encourage you to do the same thing, folks. Register to vote. Lori, you checking in. You said, Lori Parks, you said, register to vote, register to vote. This will be fighting for your life and rights election 2024. For real. I would definitely agree with you, especially in the state votes, in these state contests. Like on the national, we often talk about Trump and Biden and all of that. But a lot of the big changes happen on a state and local level, folks. A lot of those big changes happen on the state and local level. So if nothing else, you should be involved. You should be participating in the election on your state and local level. You say, okay, the president thing is one thing, but these state elections, oh man, they make a world of difference in terms of allocating resources, monies to schools. You're talking about police reform. You're talking about healthcare. All of this stuff is a lot of times right there in the seat of the state. So whatever state you're in this country, you don't want to be missing out on that. You don't want to miss out on that. Anastasia, my sister, you checked in. You said this is also the year that we as Black community where they vote on our citizenship. and vote right. Happy every year, every 25 years, you give your information every day when you're applying for a job and when you're on YouTube. Absolutely. Absolutely. So if you're one of those folks who's like, I don't know where my information is going, then you need to throw away your phone because your information is already out there. You need to get off social media. And I wouldn't encourage you to do that because we want you to watch the show. You just need to like completely fall off the grid. If you're worried about your information being compromised, and I understand this is very real, but at the same time, folks, if you have a smartphone, if you're on social media, if you have a social security number, the information is already out there. Can we say that? Willie Frazier, you said you get a birth certificate from the government and a death certificate from the government. They are involved in your whole life. You might want to be involved in it. How about that? That's a great point, Brother Willie. How about that? From start to finish, brother. From start to finish. And then we're like, oh, what do we do in between that time and that time? Well, you participate, you understand, you learn, you get involved. So to Brother Willie, your point, big bro, I agree. I agree. You might want to get involved. You might want to have some understanding about the system that we're all a part of. So big shout out to Brother Willie. Thank you so much for saying that. Cindy D, you said Republicans understand about the power of the state house facts. The DNC should promote down balloting more. All of it matters. Like McConnell said, all politics is local. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I can't emphasize this enough. And of course, over these next 413 days, God willing, we're going to be going deeper and deeper into this point, Cindy. But you are absolutely correct. All politics is local. Really, all change starts locally, right? That's what I've learned in my years of organizing, that if it's not on a community, neighborhood, grassroots level, it can get to the top. It can go all the way to the White House and all of that good stuff. But the change that we all are seeking starts right where we live. I'm going to say that again. The change that we all are seeking starts right where we live. So you are absolutely right. Pauline, you said if you have a cell phone, your information is already there. Plus, your every move is tracked. That's why the government makes sure everyone gets a free cell phone. Y'all got your Biden phones? Remember when President Obama, every year, they still call them the Obama phones. I don't know if they call them Obama phones where y'all are at, but in Baltimore, they're like, we got these Obama phones. I'm like, the Obama phone. Nobody ever say, we got Trump phones. No one has ever said that. But the important part is getting registered to vote, vote.org. Also, I'm going to throw up there's a hotline number. And I'm going to ask my production team, Chris and Lise, if we can throw up that hotline number. There we go. Today is National Voter Registration Day. Hotline number 1-866 is our vote, folks. If you want to get more information, some of you might not be as computer savvy. You want to talk to someone. You want to connect with a real person. Just give them a call at 1-866 our vote. And that is another strong way for you to get involved, for you to get registered, have all your information. It only takes a few minutes. Please don't make this seem like this is a big, long thing. It only takes like 5 minutes to get registered to vote. And trust me, when you get it done, it's off your mind, then you can have these other conversations. Now, nobody's going to tell you which party you need to be affiliated with. That is based upon your interest and your conscience. Don't vote your conscience. That's what they say. Don't vote down party. And look at, and you got to vote down ballot, and that just simply means that you're from the president all the way down to the local representative. But you vote your conscience first. That's the first thing. This is how we become informed citizens when we start to create a politic about our views. We already have views. Now we're putting them into a space where it becomes our personal politics. So 1-866 our vote, vote.gov, and let's all get as many people registered to vote, especially today and moving forward over these next 413 days. All right, folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's talk about the high cost of air pollution, the impact that it's making on Black and brown communities, and what we can do to change the course of this climate disaster. Stay with us. That conversation is up next right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
On his first day in office, with the country in crisis, President Biden got to work for us. Cutting Black child poverty in half, more money for Black entrepreneurs, millions of new, good-paying jobs. He's lowered the cost of living and prescription drugs. But there's more to do. He gets it because we all deserve dignity, safety, respect, and a chance to do more than just get by, but to get ahead.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay Black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Let's have a conversation talking about the environment, talk about environmental justice, talking about climate change, and so much more. And this is one of those discussions that I think is necessary for us just to keep in the forefront of our minds, especially since we are trying to figure out how to minimize our carbon footprint. There are more conversations about the environment, more conversations about sustaining the green economy. But even more so than that, there is a very big issue of pollution here in this country. I want to share this with you, and then we'll bring on our first guest. Did you know, folks, that a quarter of Americans live in places with polluted air. I want you to think about that. That means 25% of us live in places with polluted air. Here in Los Angeles, LA, California is infamous for its smog because of a number of factors, whether it's because of the weather, whether it's the traffic and the emissions of many, many cars. Okay, you ain't got to make my city look like that. I mean, y'all making my city. But the fact is that we are all affected. And the big part of this, if y'all remember, y'all remember there was that that wildfire that had just completely blanketed the East Coast just a few months ago, maybe a few weeks ago. That was that wildfires coming down from Canada. All of that, folks, I mean, even though that the days are clear, the sky is blue and all of those things, but they still leave residue, they still leave particles, they still leave some remnant of pollution in our air that we breathe in each day. So according to like I said, according to the American Lung Association, 25% of the country is living in polluted air. And this is based on their state of the air report for 2023. These findings, alongside the hazardous air quality from the Canadian wildfires earlier this summer, has environmental concerns top of mind for Americans. Mirroring this sentiment, a new poll from the Environmental Defense Fund finds that 68% of voters in key battleground and oil-producing states, including Arizona, Georgia, and Pennsylvania, support EPA, which is the Environmental Protection Agency, regulations to limit methane emissions. In fact, many voters believe stricter rules will create more jobs and lead to more innovation. Here to talk to us a little bit about the high cost of polluted air is Mr. John Goldstein, who serves as the Senior Director of Regulatory and Legislative Affairs at the Environmental Defense Fund. John, thank you so much for your time with us this afternoon. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, John, we're looking at this thing coming from the American Lung Association State of the Air report. Your organization did a poll that found that 68% of voters live in these key battleground states. This is National Voter Registration Day. So this is the perfect time for us to have some different conversations about the environment, especially when folks are getting registered to vote. We go to the polls next year, but we have to have some different discussions about this. This is not just a hippie thing. This is not for tree huggers, right? This is a thing that affects us all, especially when we're in, whether you're in an urban cosmopolitan space like some of these big cities, I'm in Los Angeles, or whether you're in a rural place. Like, pollution is really affecting us all. Talk to us a little bit more about this poll that EDF put out.
I'm happy to. Yeah, thanks for having me on. You are absolutely right that this is air quality and air pollution is something that doesn't respect borders. It hits us all. And there are certainly areas in close proximity to sources of pollution that get it worse. Frontline communities, environmental justice communities are on the front lines of this problem. But all of us have to bear a burden here. And that's why the efforts that are underway from the Biden administration and from Michael Regan at the Environmental Protection Agency to try and cut these forms of pollution are so important and are going to have such a benefit to folks.
So how do, and John, I want to know, how do we have these conversations politically? Because it's such a big issue. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember when those wildfires were hitting the East Coast, I was on this side. So, seeing what was going back home, it was crazy. But then I was thinking to myself, like, this thing is so big. We've been talking about climate change. We've been talking about global warming for years. How do we make it more palatable for Americans and create that sense of urgency to get people to really understand the significance of it?
I think what encourages me are some of the data points you were just talking about with the strong majorities of voters in these key battleground states, and especially in battleground states that are going to help decide the presidential election, that are also big sources of pollution. These folks understand just how important this issue is and want to see measures in place to protect them and protect their communities. So, you mentioned that overall, nationwide, the battleground state poll found 68% of voters want to see strong methane rules finalized by the Environmental Protection Agency as soon as possible. That's incredibly strong and important. In Pennsylvania, it's even a little bit higher. It's 69% in Pennsylvania. And they're the second largest producer of natural gas in the country. So they understand, that this is big business, but that doesn't mean that it's not a business that ought to be doing it right and protecting the communities that live in and around the drilling and the development that's occurring.
Absolutely. We got to take a quick pause. When we come back, John, I want to get your take on the ongoing conversation about environmental justice as it relates to Black and brown communities and marginalized communities, even for poor whites in this country, how it's important for us to have these discussions, because based from what I understand, a lot of plants, and I'm talking about those big power plants that are emitting all of these hazardous fumes, they're surrounded by Black, brown population, poor whites in this country. And as a result of that, we're seeing, more people with cancer and other medical issues. So I want to kind of get your take on what does the EDF would like to do? How can we start to remedy this issue? Folks, we're going to take a quick pause. When we come back, more conversation with Mr. John Goldstein as we talk about the high cost of polluted air. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
President Biden has delivered for Black America. More funding for Black entrepreneurs. Millions of new good-paying jobs. He's lowering the cost of medications and the cost of living. Joe Biden is delivering for us, and that's the facts.
Pull up a chair. Take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Folks, welcome back to the show. We have been talking about the high cost of polluted air. I have been talking to Mr. John Goldstein, who is let me make sure I get John's title correctly, the Senior Director of Regulatory and Legislative Affairs at the Environmental Defense Fund. Let's bring John back into the frame. John, thank you again. I just want to get your take on this. Where does EDF stand when it comes to Black and brown communities, poor white communities, and often, and will even include Native American communities in some of the rural parts of the country where a lot of plants and other hazardous materials being put into the air. How do we stop that? Or is that even realistic to have a conversation, say we want to stop that? How do we minimize that at least, and help to start to save lives? Because these communities, their residents are at risk.
We absolutely stand shoulder to shoulder with those communities in terms of fighting for better protections. I mean, it's a terrible problem, and it's a problem that's been going on for far too long. I'm glad to see the efforts that are being made by Administrator Michael Regan at the Environmental Protection Agency and really the whole Biden administration in terms of elevating the issue of environmental justice like never before, and putting a spotlight on it and trying to figure out how to get it fixed. EDF just participated in a study that was first of its kind that tried to put some dollars and cents around just how big of a health impact the oil and gas industry has in a negative way on Americans. And what we found was eye-opening. It was $77 billion a year in healthcare costs due to pollution from oil and gas development across the country. And, of course, there are a lot of those impacts being felt in states where there's a lot of drilling going on, places like Texas, like New Mexico, like Pennsylvania. But it wasn't only there because, that air pollution will move around. And so we were seeing health impacts in big cities on the East Coast as well, places like Baltimore, New York, that you might not imagine, were being impacted, but were by these forms of pollution. And we see it in terms of, elevated asthma levels in communities. That's bad for kids, bad for the elderly, bad for everyone. And absolutely, we want to see that addressed and addressed in as forceful way as possible.
And I'm from Baltimore, so you talking to my heart right there when you talk about this. There was another thought that came to my mind. Of course, the country just acknowledged the 22nd year anniversary of the World Trade Center attacks. One of the things that I've been watching, John, is when those buildings fell, the amount of debris that were dispersed within the air of New York City at that time. I'm wondering, when those type of things happen, when you're talking about buildings coming down, when you're talking about something of that massive, how many years does it take for people, cities to truly recover from that? Do we recover from that? Or is that we just kind of wait on Mother Nature to clean it up?
It's a great question. Mother Nature can clean things up pretty quickly if you give her a chance. And so when, you make efforts to cut the forms of pollution, whether it's from a power plant or from, oil and gas or whatever, the processes out there tend to knock that stuff out of the air pretty quickly. It's not always that way. Water can take a while to clean up. Other forms of pollution can be more pernicious and harder to get after. But the air, if we give it a chance and we get the kinds of rules in place that are being worked on right now in Washington, if we get them finalized quickly and get them implemented effectively, it can have a significant impact on protecting people from pollution.
We got 30 seconds left with you, John. Are there any particular bills in Congress right now that we need to keep our eyes on as it relates to this issue of polluted air?
There's a number of good things going on in Washington, D.C. There are rules being finalized right now by the Environmental Protection Agency. We expect to see them final this fall that will significantly or can significantly cut pollution from the oil and gas industry, the methane pollution that we've been talking about today. And we want to see those finalized ASAP so that they get out there and they start doing their job of cleaning up this air pollution. And I think we can do that.
Oh, absolutely. And John, I know that you got to hop off, but I feel like I just need to have another conversation with you, man, because when I'm looking at where we are in this country in terms of, like you said, the oil usage in this country, right? Like, should we advocate going into a more solar or electric space with our cars? Or should we, in terms of our homes, should we kind of wean ourselves off of the oil that we use in this country? And I know that's a big question, right, but I don't, just thinking about climate, global warming, the air pollution and everything, and just natural things that are happening in this country, which way should we go on this?
Oh, there's no question that we have to be going towards cleaner sources of energy. It's good for the air. It's good for, the security and not having to rely on, energy resources that come from overseas. It's good for environmental justice. It's just, there's no question that's the direction we need to be moving in. And I would love to come back. And now that I know you're from Baltimore, I think I need to come back and we can talk about the Orioles too.
Absolutely. I would love it. Hey, John, I truly appreciate your time with us. John Goldstein, Senior Director of Regulatory and Legislative Affairs at the Environmental Defense Fund. John, thank you so much for your time, but more importantly, thank you for putting this information out there, being so good for the culture, and we look forward to having you back again very soon. Thank you, man.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Absolutely. Folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's talk sports. I got my man Scotty from Off Script TV checking in. And I'm going to pick his brain about what he's seeing with this Coach Palm phenomenon that's taken over the country and so much more. Stay with us, folks. It's The Culture on the Black Star Network.
On his first day in office, with the country in crisis, President Biden got to work for us. Cutting Black child poverty in half, more money for Black entrepreneurs, millions of new, good-paying jobs. He's lowered the cost of living and prescription drugs. But there's more to do. He gets it because we all deserve dignity, safety, respect, and a chance to do more than just get by, but to get ahead.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punching! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network, and black-owned media, and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Phenomenal first half of the show where we talked a little bit about the importance of registering to vote, because today is National Voters Registration Day. So if you have not registered to vote today, make sure you go to vote.gov. You can get registered in a few moments. It doesn't take long, but you can go to vote.gov. That's the official website. And you can put your information in, and it will ask you for your address, of course, your state, and you put all of that information in, and boom, you will be updated in the system. Or you can call 1-866-OUR-VOTE to get registered today. It is National Voters Registration Day. 1-866-OUR-VOTE, and someone can help you right there on the phone to get you registered to vote as we are embarked upon this election season. And what many have said is going to be one of the most pivotal elections of our time. We've heard that before. Maybe this will be that one, but trust and believe, I encourage all of us to get registered to vote, and most importantly, vote your conscience, not just based on personality and all of that other stuff, but vote your conscience, folks. And let's redefine our relationship to the government. Also, we just had a great conversation with Mr. John Goldstein from the Environmental Defense Fund, talking to us about the importance of getting more understanding about the high cost of polluted areas. So, folks, if you have not had a chance to check out the first half of the show, make sure you do so, or be a part of Team Replay, and let's continue to be informed about these issues. Now, I got to check in because I had to figure out, I haven't talked to my brother in some time, and I'm so happy that he made a little time for just us, you know what I'm saying? Because he's all over the place. He's always doing some great things. And he got his family, and he's just always doing something. But had to bring him in to have this very, very big conversation as we're looking at this phenomenon in the sports world, all instituted by one man, Deion Coach Prime Sanders. Is that? Let me bring in my man Scotty from All Script TV. Scotty, my brother, how are you, sir?
Man, I'm good, Farajii, man. You know, been a long time, man. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't know nobody. Now, I want to be very clear, because to the crowd, you didn't want to tell the truth. See, what happened is he was like, "Oh, Scotty, yeah, can you come on next week?" I said, "Oh yeah," like this was like a week ago. He's like, "Yeah, sure."
Hey, Scotty, it was my mistake. Okay, look. I was trying to bring Scotty on from the beginning of the NFL season, and I'm sending him the message, and I didn't tell him the day. Yo, it's just Scotty. You know, look, man. Look, you here now, Scotty. You here, brother. You here, and you here, and you know, you my go-to guy, man. You're the culture's go-to guy. Yo, first and foremost, let me let y'all know, Scotty has a phenomenal show. Yeah, check him out on all social media platforms. His style of talking about sport is absolutely just highly entertaining, quite informative, and he will come on your show and then bash you if you say something crazy about some sports issue.
Let me say this. How about the Cowboys? Woo! Let's go!
All right. First and foremost, Scotty, you are my man, because I had to think about this. Coach Prime, have you ever seen this amount of excitement around a college football program or a college head coach, a football coach, like we're seeing right now with Coach Prime?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So I want you to put this thing in perspective, because some people, and I've been reading stories and articles, some people act like this guy is ushering in a whole new culture when it comes to sports and college sports. What's your take on that?
Okay, so let me give it to you like this. Yes, but it's by the same guy, Coach Prime. Like, so what you're seeing at Colorado, he did at Jackson. It was literally the same phenomenon. You just didn't have the eyes on. Listen, when you're not, they always have that thing like, if a tree falls in the forest, do you hear it, right?
Right.
Prom was this in Black culture a year ago. This is when he stepped in and he started winning and doing all that. I mean, he was that for the HBCU space. But what now happens is you move him and you put him on a platform that is, you all know, white centric, and now he's just everywhere, right? So it's to me, he was literally doing the same thing. If Jackson State had the same amount of eyes, had the same amount of cameras, had the same look of football, because people think, oh, because it's FBS or whatever, it would have been just as big, maybe even bigger, because Black people move the needle. That's just what it is. So, that's just what it is, man. So, because Jackson State can get 60,000 in a stadium, they did it. They were doing it. With Prom, you just didn't see the cameras behind it because nobody cares about HBCU football like that. So now that he gets put in Colorado, who can I say ass? Can I say ass?
Yeah, you can say it.
It was ass for the last 10 years. Now Black Jesus then walked into it, because I don't even call him Colorado no more. I call him the Prime Christian Center, right? Because that's literally what it is. It ain't Colorado. Colorado ain't done nothing. It's the Prime Christian Center, right? So now that the Prime Christian Center is doing well, now everybody like, oh my God, look at Prime. Look at this. Look at that. Whatever. He was doing it at Jackson, and now that he's put on a white platform, people are like, oh my God, it's 10 times better. It's the same. It was literally the same thing.
You said Prime Christian Center.
That's what it is now. It's the Prime Christian Center.
I have never heard that. See, this is why I'm telling y'all, man. This is why y'all need to listen to my man Scotty, because I have never heard that. That is classic, bro. The Prime Christian. Now, look, take this out. I was reading a Forbes article, and the writer, who is a fan of Coach Prime, he made the point that Coach Prime appeared on 60 Minutes. He appeared on 60 Minutes this past Sunday. He appeared on 60 Minutes. The man got 2 appearances on one of the most
in 1 year.
That's what I was going to say.
In 1 year.
Presidents. This is the writer from Forbes was making a point of. He said presidents, prime ministers don't even get that level of that appearance. So we are really seeing something. It's like something is happening, and this is the crazy part about this too, Scotty, is that people have said literally God's hands is over Colorado.
Listen, man, God don't care 2 craps about football. That kills me. I just had a whole show about that like yesterday. I'm like, God does not. It's faith and football. It's not football faith. It's faith and football. So you bring your faith, if it's Buddhism, Hinduism, whatever faith you believe in, right. And you bring it to the sport. God does not care about football. God cares about the people, right? So the people that is involved in that situation. And I keep saying, what about Colorado? Because see, this is what Deion does, and this is what kills me about Deion. Deion, he trickles over a lot of stuff, right? He don't really dive too. He'll trickle over it. So it'll be something like this. He'd be like, why would God call me to a successful situation? God had to put me in an unsuccessful situation. What was unsuccessful? Because they weren't winning football games? That makes Colorado unsuccessful because they weren't winning football games? Nothing about Colorado is getting underfunded. Nothing about Colorado is going through a water crisis. Nothing about Colorado is any of that. So what made it unsuccessful? Because they couldn't win? That made them unsuccessful? Negative, my guy. You know what I'm saying? So the thing for me is this. It was an opportunity. Like he said earlier, he said it later in the 60 minute. It was an opportunity. right? It was an opportunity that he took. Just say that. Just say that. What bothers me, and I don't have a problem with people saying God told me to take a job or something like that. But God don't care about no football. Like that. Come on, man. Like, what are we talking about right now, bro?
So we got to keep this whole situation in its proper context.
Yeah. God's hand is in Colorado. Like, that's what we're doing right now. Really? They won, 2-3 games, and now God's hand is in Colorado? Come on, man. Like, what are we talking about right now?
You're right. I mean, look, I'm just saying it's really interesting. It's really interesting because I've seen tweets, I've seen posts, I've seen people just like, no, something special is happening. This is not just magical. This is spiritual.
It's called winning. Like, they ain't never won, but it's called winning. Like, what are we talking about? And see, this is the thing that makes me mad. And I wish I sent Keenan the tweet or whatever. Like, the tweet by Luke, Luke Me So Horny, whatever. Luke.
Oh, Luke Skywalker.
Luther Campbell. He made a tweet talking about something like, Prime is really moving with God. They're showing people who's racist and who not. People have been racist. Because he's like, people are rooting against Prime because they're racist and they're. Listen, I'm rooting against Prime. Does that make me racist? No, it does not make me racist. It would have. I was rooting against Golden State Warriors. I hated their little run. I hated when the Yankees were good. I hated their run. I hated when LeBron was in Miami. I hated their run. That's what sports gives. Sports brings that level of intensity of you don't want. Now, do they have some underlying stuff of he's black and I don't want to see? Yeah, okay, that's their agenda. That's their prerogative. They can do that. But man, I'm a black man. I met Prime. I got an interview with Prime. I'm cool with his camp. I still want him to lose.
Damn.
I still want Prime to lose. And the reason I want him to lose is I want to see what it looks like when things don't go your way. That's all I'm waiting to see. I'm waiting to see adversity. How does all that God trickle stuff work when you got adversity? It's all good and dandy when you're winning. When you're a front, Deion is the ultimate front runner. When everything's going well, it's, oh, God bless you. Oh, God been blessing me. Me been blessing God. Me and God talk all. When adversity hit, go look at them 2 last Celebration Bowl losses and tell me how God been blessed. He different. So I want to see what that adversity looks like when he's different. That's how I look at it.
AOC, this is what I'm talking about. We got to take a quick pause. Folks, this is why I love my man Scotty. This is exactly why. Come on, man. You dropping jewels. Look, we got to take a quick pause when we come forward. Let's continue the conversation with Scotty from Allscript TV. And, of course, I want to hear your thoughts, crew. Post your comments. We're streaming live on YouTube under Roland Martin name, Roland Martin on YouTube. We would love to get your take on what you're seeing with the Prime effect and how things are moving with the culture around this black man, this football team, and how we see sports, God, and a whole lot more. Stay with us. The conversation continues on the other side here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
President Biden has delivered for Black America. More funding for Black entrepreneurs. Millions of new good-paying jobs. He's lowering the cost of medications and the cost of living. Joe Biden is delivering for us, and that's the facts.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Your money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20036-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland@RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punching! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad, checking in with my brother, Scotty from Off Script TV. We're talking sports, talking about the prime effect of Coach Deion Sanders down in Colorado. And folks are really checking in. And you know what, to be honest with you, Scotty, I'm so glad that you're bringing up some valid points about the way the culture is moving and how it's interpreting winning. Because I think that's a huge part of Deion Sanders, Coach Prime's narrative, that he's always a winner, right? And to see people, the impact of that is as a person who studies our culture, bro, I'm just like, and I'm like you, what happens when you don't win? You know what I'm saying? Like what is your mindset? Because as you know in sports, that's when the real athlete comes out.
That's when you see the real person. And
that's when you see the real person. And Michael Jordan talks about this, and all of the great ones talk about this. But I never forget when Nike put out that commercial of Michael Jordan, they were talking about the number of shots he didn't make.
Oh, I love that commercial.
Isn't that the dope commercial, right? And it's like the number of shots he didn't make is what made him the winner because he kept going, right? And so it's like this ongoing narrative. Are we setting ourselves up for failure when there's this ongoing narrative that you gotta quote unquote be a winner in life? That we still have culturally, we still have a problem accepting losses, and more importantly, we still have a problem accepting failure, even though we know failure is actually one of the building blocks of winning. So culturally, it's still like this everything, like you always winning, you always get what you want. And I agree. You need to fail sometimes. You need to fail. Go ahead, bro.
For me, I don't have a problem with Deion being such a winner. I think that's his brand, right? Brand and winning Deion and winning is like hand in hand. My thing is this, right? This is my thing. What has always bothered me about Deion is just how he came into the HBCU space and then how he dipped, right? Because that listen, I've said on my platform, I don't have a problem with him taking a job that pays him more money, but you can't come into the HBCU space, and this is my issue: recruit players to Jackson to say, "Hey, we're here to change the culture, change the narrative." Put everybody on status, let you know you can come from the league. And then when you go to Colorado, you take the same players that you brought to Jackson to change Jackson. You take them with you to go to Colorado. So to me, it's like you dating a girl and you buy the girl. You're like, hey, baby, I want you to be in the best of everything. You buy her a Mercedes, you buy her a Bentley, you get her a new house, you get her a new car. Then when you dump her, you kick her out of everything, and then you put your new chick in all the new stuff that you done done. Yeah, baby, this for you. This all for you right here. And you be like, and the girl like, I thought you was trying to upgrade me. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's one of my issues with Prime. But then at the same time, it's like, bro, all you're doing is listen. I'm not that type of guy that's like, oh, the white man, my brother, stop eating. I'm not that guy, right? But I'm like, bro, all you're doing is feeding into white media. That's all you're doing. You got my man on the talk about look like the side of the BET Awards. Where? It's 60,000 Caucasians in the end.
I did hear that line, bro. I was blown away. I was like,
yeah,
because the Rock showed up and he had a couple of hip hop artists.
Come on, man! And half them Bama's was on the sideline with the other black players. Yeah, so the percentage of black to white, the white still outweighed the little. Come on, man! What are we talking about? It looked like the sideline of the BET Awards. Like what BET Awards you talking about? So you know what I'm saying? It's stuff like that. It's like you're trying. What bothers HBCU alums in this space? They don't hate on Prime. Everybody loves who Prime is. Like nobody hates on. I don't hate on Prime. I love Prime. I grew up. I did the bandana like everybody else did the bandana, right? But the thing is when you're trying to culture appropriate a white school into making them think they're an HBCU or trying to make them into an HBCU, that is the problem. Where you're trying.
Do you think Prime is doing that?
I think. Listen, Prime. I said this on my channel. Prime is the definition of cool. And the reason he's the definition of cool is because it's only so many icons that can do stuff that you're like, if a normal person did, that's not cool, right? Michael Jackson, high water pants. That's not cool. Only Michael Jackson can make high waters cool because he's Michael Jackson, right? Prince,
right.
With the pants cut out. Only Prince can make that happen because he's Prince, right? No grown-ass man can get on national television with overalls and a white cowboy hat with his pants tucked in his socks and be like, I'm the coolest thing ever with chain. Only Prime. So there's a definition of coolness in that Prime just has, and he naturally, it oozes off of him and it makes everything he touches cool as well. But the part is that you're trying to bring the culture. The show, like, you know what I'm saying? You're trying to infuse Colorado into the culture. Bro, we're 1% black in Boulder. What are you talking about? You see what I'm saying? So it's
I hear you. No, I hear you. It's so funny because, and I know some people probably like, what, for real? But I listened to an old interview that Dr. Umar Johnson did on The Breakfast Club just a couple of days ago. And it was just old, but it was about Coach Prime at the time when Coach Prime was talking, when there was all that talk about him leaving Jackson State. And Umar brought up the same point, talking about like at the end of the day, he didn't like the fact that he felt like Prime was turning his back on the culture, on black institutions, where he could have built up Jackson State to build up his football program. He wasn't there long 3 years, but he could have built up the program really, really well, attracted the resources. He could have done a lot more than he had done at that time. And it made me give pause because I'm wondering to myself, is that realistic? Should we expect black folks who come into some of these spaces to shoulder that weight of like, I'm going to change the system of this space. I'm going to change the culture of this space. Like, is that a responsibility, or even is that even fair for us to put on the shoulders of certain individuals?
I think it's not fair for when people try to put that on kids. When people try to put that on kids coming back to HBCUs, like you should play for HBCU. I think that's unfair. You know what I'm saying? I think if a 19, 20-year-old kid, wants to play for an HBCU who's super talented and he could have went to Alabama or Auburn. But for a grown adult, listen, man, I look at it like we as a people, if we didn't have people like that in place, where would we have been now? Right? It always took somebody to take on a brunt or it's never easy when you're the first one going through a door. but that door that you open just let in 100 other people in to change their lives. So because in the white space, there's not a lot of issues where, you know, and I hear it all the time where white people, let's say they get a contract job and they know a boy, they got a white friend who paints, they got a white friend who does lumber, so they all linking up to get this contract, and they all making money. But in the black space, it don't go down like that. It's always like dog eat dog, or I gotta go get it, or, you know, I found this and I did this. And I know what Prime is doing. He's trying to get his son into the NFL. That is literally what all this mission has ever been, is to get Shedeur Sanders into the NFL and to have a Sanders name continue on into the NFL. That's it. That's what this is all about. And this was always been about. Because to me, if it was about changing the culture, if it was really about changing HBCU and how that football is looked upon and things like that, then you stay. You stay. You stay as long as you have to. You do better. You teach them how to do better business deals. You teach them how to negotiate, because we all know Deion's an awesome businessman, an even better marketer, right? But when you just stay for 2 years and then you dip and go to Colorado and all you keep putting up is your son, he been doing this. You got HBCU, he been doing this. That's all it's ever been about. That's all it's ever been about, man. So it just is what it is. And people call me a hater. People, listen, I do.
Yeah, we got a couple of people in the chat that say he a whole hater.
Because the thing for me is I'm going to call a spade a spade. It is what it is. And listen, I'm not. See, the thing about it is calling it out. It's not hating. It's acknowledging the truth. The truth of the matter is this. He's doing it for Shedeur to get to the league. I don't have a problem with that. It's just the truth. That's just what it is, right? Because I tell you this. Shedeur goes to Colorado without his dad. It's Colorado 3-0. Don't worry. I'll wait. They're not 3-0 without Prime stepping foot in Colorado. Matter of fact, nobody would even give a crap that Shedeur was up there without his dad. So you know who moves the needle. I'm not saying Shedeur is not good. He is. But he don't move the needle. It's his daddy who moves the needle. So at the end of the day, if you take him out the equation, what is Shedeur? Just a normal black quarterback with a Sanders last name.
Damn. All right, let's get to some thoughts, man. As my man Scotty expressing some strong thoughts about Coach Prime and his effect. Real Brooklyn, you said a couple of things. Real Brooklyn, you said, "Come on, bro, you are way out of line." He's talking about you, Scotty. He said Prime is doing what every black man is supposed to do regarding business. How is what Prime doing HBCU 2.0? Dude is really talking madness. He says, "Man, I wish I was on this show." Dude says a lot of stuff that makes no doggone sense. Farajii, ask my dude why he is hating. Prime is going to uplift every brother trying to make it in the Power 5, Big 10, etc.
Y'all Bamas don't know nothing about sports. How is a cultural icon comparable to a regular Farajii? Let me ask you this. If you coach college football, you're coaching at Indiana University, you're pretty darn good. You're not great, but you're pretty darn good. How is what Deion doing in Colorado going to affect you, a regular smuggler guy? The only thing that Deion is doing is giving opportunities for former NFL players who had celebrity status, i.e. a Cam Newton, a Chad Johnson, a people that you know have brands that really, like, when they step out in the scene, you're like, oh man, I remember him. That's all Deion is doing. He's not making this better for an every average day black head coach, because you can't draw. Like, if you take Deion away from that and you pick Mel Tucker already went to Colorado. You give me another black head coach, any black head coach at any level, and you put them in Colorado, the excitement is not the same. So shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. You can't compare Deion to anybody. He's a cultural icon in the black space. It doesn't work the same. And he's so daggone good, he crossovers to the white people as well. White people love Prime. You can't compare the two.
So once a person gets into that space, we're going to take another quick pause, but once a person gets into that space, and I think this is a good cultural lesson, is he doing it? And I know you mentioned he's doing this for his son, but I'm just saying in terms of his impact, what he represents, should we be rooting for him as Black people? Because he is in a white space, because he did leave an HBCU to try to, further whether it's his personal ambitions or his son's ambitions. Should we still support him? Because he's doing something, right?
Yeah, listen, I don't have a problem with people rooting for Prime. That's great. Like I don't listen. Seeing adversity and failing are two different things. Let me make that very clear. I like seeing when people hit adversity and what that makes them do, because you see the real character of a man when adversity hits, right? It's not failure. Those are two different things. Read a book, right? Because a lot of people, they don't, you want them to fail. No, I just want to see what adversity hits, what it looks like. It's two different things. I don't have a problem with people rooting for Prime to win or whatever, because you're supporting a Black man that's doing his thing. But what bothers me is when people say, oh, Prime's the blueprint. Oh, yeah, he's the blueprint. Just be an all-world athlete with multiple Super Bowls, with the MVP, with a World Series ring, and go to a World Series and then be a cultural icon. Yeah, just let's lay that blueprint all out. Anybody can follow that. Completely change the defensive back position, making it cool, making it swaggery. Like what are we talking about? Like, oh yeah, there's an easy blueprint to follow. Come on, man, stop playing with me.
Let's take a quick pause. Folks. Stay with us. More conversation with Scotty from Off Script TV, and you stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
President Biden has delivered for Black America. More funding for Black entrepreneurs. Millions of new good-paying jobs. He's lowering the cost of medications and the cost of living. Joe Biden is delivering for us, and that's the facts.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay Black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Folks, welcome back to the culture here on the Black Star Network. Checking in with my brother Scotty from Offscript TV, talking sports. Let me just tell y'all something, man. This Coach Prime it's a controversial statement, and I think that to a lot of the sentiment is that I think that some Black people in the country are still not completely over the fact that he did leave an HBCU to pursue this opportunity at Colorado. One of my producers, mentioned that Colorado's about to become a Big 12 school next year, and there's talk with my team saying that he could leave Colorado in the next year or two. The next year or two, depending on how things go, and could go off someplace else. What do you think is the future of this, Scotty? What we're seeing just with him as an individual moving on, do you think he's going to retire at Colorado, or is this another stepping stone for him to do something else?
I think he's going to let it go once Shedeur goes to the league. I think it's it's literally like LeVar Ball on steroids, right? Like I really believe, because if you think about it, he's coached Shedeur in every form of football. He's coached Shedeur his whole life. Pee-wee, middle school, high school, college. He has been his head coach. So if Shedeur keeps having the amazing season that he has, he's going to go to the draft. I think you might get another year out of him for Travis Hunter, right? You might get another year for him to get Travis Hunter to the league, and then he's done. What else does he really need to do? But if he does decide to stay and keep coaching, which I think is good for the culture, I think it's great to keep having Prime coach. I don't see nothing wrong with that. I think he goes to Florida. I really do.
And there are big 3 schools down in Florida.
Listen, I think he goes to the University of Florida. I think because Billy Napier is having a hard time down there trying to get them back on track. And I think if Prime steps in the state of Florida, it is a problem. If
huge problem.
Man, if he steps in the state of Florida,
I can see it. I can see it.
Oh my God. I would feel bad for any SEC school. I really would. And that's including Georgia. Yeah, I know everybody's like, oh my God, you don't want Deion. You don't want Deion in Florida. That's not in nobody's benefit. Nobody.
There it is. Hey, Willie, you said we root for Deion the same way we rooted for OJ during the trial. We root because of this system and what's been done to the black community. We forget Eddie George coaches at an HBCU. How much hype there?
None. Absolutely none. But once again, Eddie George is not the brand of a Prime. That's just what it is. He doesn't bring the eyes like a Prime. Even if Eddie George was winning, he still wouldn't bring the eyes like Prime does, because what Prime does he does it big. He just does it different. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I can't stand when people say this is for the betterment of Black coaches. It is not. It is for it's not the betterment of Black coaches, because Deion is not the ordinary. Listen, man. It's okay. I want y'all to think about in the music business, right? You got white record label companies. When genres are certain, or certain eras come up, like when Jay-Z in the early 2000s and then 50 Cent, all they're trying to do is find a replica. That's all they're trying to do is like, hey, oh, that worked for me. Let me get that. Or, oh, that's hot now. Let's get this, right? That's literally all Rick George did, was like, yo, Colorado is ass. We're not good. I've been here for 9 years and we haven't been doing well. Let me take a risk. Let me take a jump. Let me take a leap and go with Prime. That's what he did. It's nothing. It's really nothing special. I mean, he's hired 2 other Black coaches too as well. So, but I'm just saying it's not anything special by him hiring Prime. It really wasn't. If I'm being honest, he just didn't know what he was really getting. But if you saw him in the HBCU space, you know how it literally just took over, bro. Like and even in that small niche community, it just literally was Deion everything. And now you're just seeing it on a bigger platform with more white eyes, which makes it more popular.
So where do we go from here, Scotty?
You just enjoy the ride. Just enjoy the ride. It's like however long however high the roller coaster get, or however low the roller coaster get. You enjoy the ride, because you're not going to. It's like when people say when Jordan retired, you're not going to see anything else like this. When LeBron retires, you're going to be like, it's not going. You just got to enjoy the ride, because you're not going to see anything else like this. You're not. right? Because there's only so many eras you can compare this to, right? The Miami used in the 80s and early 90s, the Georgetown Hoya. Man, you know how big that was in the
huge, man. I'm from the East Coast, bro. They were everywhere.
I'm from Maryland, so but everybody had a little Georgetown Hoya started and everything with the zipper. That shit was crazy. In Michigan, there's only so many eras that you can really talk about just the cultural impact of something being that big, and Prime is stepping into that cultural impact of what he's doing in Colorado. So you just got to enjoy the ride.
I'm going to enjoy the ride. Let's see. How many college games are there for Colorado?
11 or 12. Listen, 11, I sent Keenan a text message. All their home games are already sold out.
Hey, look! I just saw when they were making a point that the average college football game ticket prices is about $200 and some change. Now it's over $500, bro.
It's Prime effect. But once again, and this is and Dr. Boyce Watkins brought this up on one show. He's talking about the financial impact. You got to look at it like this. This is like the nuances of Prime, which I have a problem. Prime doesn't own anything of him. Like Prime doesn't own any. Like you know how Roland owns a lot of this because it's his. Prime don't own nothing around him. The only thing Prime owns is his name. He doesn't own the media company that's pushing him. He doesn't own the shades that he just promoted. He doesn't. He is the worst definition, and this is gonna sound really bad. He's the worst definition of a black entrepreneur you ever want to talk about, because all he does is receive payment. He doesn't own anything. There's nothing that he owns that is surrounded by him but his name. He trademarked his name, the Prime 2-1 thing. That's it. So if you want to talk about black cultural impact, he got it. If you want to talk about popularity, he got it. If you want to talk about all that fame and all that, he got it. But if you want to talk about black business, doesn't make any sense. Why don't you own the media company that's promoting you? Why don't you have a Prime Productions? Why don't you have that? You got your son on Well Off Media and all that. Why don't you have a Prime Productions? Why don't you have your own Shades brand that you're promoting everywhere you go? See, nobody thinks like it. See, that's the thing with black people. We don't think that deep into stuff. But the thing about it is, that's how white people come at us. When they're promoting products and everything like that, they own that. Prime don't own nothing that he promotes. What does he promote that he owns?
There's a lot of lessons coming from this guy. I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. Like thinking about having this conversation with you there are a lot of lessons. I think you put a lot out there.
And this is for people. For Lisa in the back. Blender is not his company. That's not his company. He's partnered with them. That's how he gets a percentage of the sales. But that is not his company. That he partnered with them. Like I said, tell me something that Dion owns that is his business. In anything that he markets, come back and tell me, and you won't. You won't.
Wow. Let's shift gears real quick. Coco Gauff. This 19-year-old sister who has made a wave in the tennis world. She already has made a name for herself, becoming one of the youngest to win it. Second to only the great Serena Williams. But now she has broken another record where her viewership for her championship match breaks ESPN's record. Over 3 million people watched Coco Gauff win last week, making hers ESPN's most watched ever major women's tennis championship in the history of the network. 19 years old, Grand Slam winner. 3.4 million people tuned in to watch her win. She even topped the men's championship rating in the same year.
Whose record did she break, Farajii? Please tell the people that.
Behind Serena Williams' last match in 2022.
We moved the needle. Like, I don't know. Listen, I don't know what else we need to talk about. I don't know what else you need to talk about. There's over
So here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. This is the thing about this is, and I know we don't have time for this, but I know that you understand this because you've been on the part of this show for a while now. This is what personally I have a struggle with, even with us in the culture. we celebrate people who, and I'm not saying Coco definitely deserved it. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about there's an element of our culture where we're happy to be purveyors of someone else's agenda. Wow. We're happy to be the salespeople or the face for someone else's economic interest. We're happy about that. Like when we and I mean this is why I was thinking about what you just said with Coach Prime. Like that's part of our culture. When somebody gets a big contract, right? And essentially money is paid to individuals, athletes, entertainers, whoever, to be the spokesperson, to be the face of a system. And we get happy about that. And I'm not saying it's about Coco in terms of trying to diminish her win. I'm just saying that when we can make people rich in our culture, we are looked upon as making it. But unfortunately, Coco Gauff won't get she's not going to get any money from ESPN for, you know what I'm saying? Like, she's great without ESPN.
Yeah, she won't get no money off the views.
She ain't gonna get no money off the viewership.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's one of the things about the capitalism. I think that's one of the things about just the overall culture is that it's like we celebrate when somebody else becomes a high-paid spokesperson.
Man, that's a whole nother conversation because
it's a whole different, you know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. No, and I get it. We all got to get checks from somewhere. But I'm just saying in our culture, it's becoming more and more like if and like you said, like it's one thing when you own stuff. It's one thing when you can eat off of what you produce. It's another thing when you getting rich off of somebody else. So if ESPN is, and I don't know how much Coco Gauff is going to be worth, and I don't know the numbers behind it. But if she is moving the needle, if Serena Williams is moving the needle, they're taking not just, same thing could be said for Beyonce. When these women move the needle, same thing that could be said about our sister in gymnastics, Simone Biles, right? Ooh. You pushing the culture, you pushing it. I mean, you moving the needle on every platform. Viewership, interest, merchandise, all of the stuff is just moving. And then the person themselves, they don't have they're not owning it.
So you gotta dive into like, this is the thing about the Black community and stuff like that, how I break it down. If y'all can give me the 2-shot with my boy Farajii, please and thank you.
Go ahead.
This is my thing, Farajii, is this. It's who you celebrate, right? It's who you celebrate. Because if you want to get Floyd Mayweather is the definition of a business athlete, right? Because he went from boxing, became his own promotion company. He made his own promotion company, and now Floyd Mayweather gets his own promotions and he has his own thing. So he took the middleman out of it and said, like, I'll just do it myself. Made his own company, and now he makes money off that. Tyler Perry is a great example as well. He just takes his content to other platforms and they pay him for it. And then when he leaves, he says, thank you, let me get that, and I take it somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? So it's those that Michael Jordan owning a percentage of Nike and his sales and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But you need more Black superstars buying into their own brand, right? And it's like LeBron. LeBron, just make the shoes yourself. Just own your own. You know what I'm saying? And people are like, well, it's a lot of work. Half the work is done. You're LeBron.
Hey, didn't Stephon Marbury do that though? Didn't he like he produced his own shoe? But then he said, I remember the famous statement. He said, my shoes are literally produced in the same factories that make Jordan. And they cost 90% less.
And think about what Shaq did. Shaq's the perfect example. Shaq was like, yo, I'm not about to kill these people with all this. And so Shaq made, he makes Walmart shoes. And people wear them jokers. Right? So to me, you know what I'm saying? That wasn't my ministry. That wasn't my testimony. Because, Maryland, we don't play that about the Walmart shoes and stuff like that. You'll get hey, listen, you told me my shoes came from Payless, we playing. Okay, I know Payless ain't around no more, but you told me my shoes came from Payless. We fight. So don't play me. You know what I'm saying? So if you know, you know. If you're from the culture, if you're from Maryland, don't play my Payless. But yeah.
But you make a great point. Yeah, I think you make a great point. And I think that's where the culture is slowly moving to, bro. Like, I think it's slowly moving into ownership, taking ownership and licensing of your own name, licensing or your ownership of your own image. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it, and that's where we're moving to. And I'm just saying that we can't get excited about being just spokespeople anymore. We got to be owners, man. We got to be at the table. And I'm not saying that's going to happen overnight, but take a percentage.
Yeah.
Get something.
Yeah.
Get something on the back end. Like, you know, I'm in LA, bro, and in the film industry, you got some actors who get money just up front. They might make 20 million. But then you have an actor like a Tom Cruise who he could get money up front, but he also gets money on the back end because he owns the franchise. He's part owner of the Mission Impossible franchise, the Top Gun franchise. You see what I'm saying? Like, you're expanding your portfolio to be an owner.
Absolutely.
And I think that's part of the culture. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's like, it's okay to be a consumer, but if you got to own that. At this point, we're talking about producer owner type of status. Like, that's what should be celebrated. That to be this consumer.
Just imagine. I want people to just to sit back and think about, because when people just like to go through life and they just experience stuff. They don't really break it down, right? And I'll tell you this. Think about how many people Dion probably made billionaires that he's not one. Jerry Jones, the Dallas Cowboy franchise, what he did for them, right? Barstool Sports, what he did for them with the documentaries that he did at Jackson State, right? Because Barstool was a white frat boy. The only reason they crossed over, and then you saw them get the Wallow and Gilly, podcasts and stuff like that. Dion started that crossover when he got to HBCU and brought Barstool to HBCU, right? But imagine if you take Barstool out of it and you have Prime Productions, which is a black company, black-owned media company. He makes his own media company. He would have made his own self money off the documentary of him being in Jackson, Mississippi. So it's things like that. And now, see, the problem that, black people don't want to talk about is that then, like, Roland owning this is able to give you a show and give you a platform. And then owning Offscript, I'm able to give somebody a platform and let them see. And then they build what they need to go build. And then they go do it. That's how this thing works for each other. But if you're not in the space or in the chair to do that, right? Like Stephen A. Smith, man. Like, okay, we're not gonna go there. We're not gonna go there. I'll leave it alone.
We gotta reserve that for another day, bro. I gotta we gotta reserve that. Look, I gotta let you go, but how can people folks are checking in, man? It's always a pleasure to have you.
Always, man.
People want to know where they can find you, bro. Talk to us.
This hater is on Offscript. Okay, so go with Offscript YouTube TV. You know what I'm saying? You can come watch me and all my haterism. And listen. I don't have you. Listen, you call me a hater. Hate. I'm good with it. So just bring it on. Just bring it over to Offscript. Make sure to hit the like button when you get there, and we good to go.
There it is, my man, Scotty from Offscript TV, man. Woo! I love it today, Scotty. I appreciate you. Certainly bring you back on, and we're going to have more conversations. But folks, follow my man Scotty on all social media platforms. Even if you don't agree with him, trust and believe, Scotty is for the culture. He understands it. He gets it. He's for the culture right there, folks. So make sure y'all follow him.
Real quick before I get out of here, when Farajii tells you he going to hit you back, he like one of them people that like you don't call you like 2 months. So like, you ain't going to see me. We in September. I'll see you at Halloween.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time today.
Yo, bro, I see you at Halloween.
Thank you for being so good for the culture. We got to take a quick pause. When we come back, some final story I need to bring to y'all attention. Stay with us. It's the Culture on the Black Star Network.
On his first day in office, with the country in crisis, President Biden got to work for us. Cutting Black child poverty in half, more money for Black entrepreneurs, millions of new, good-paying jobs. He's lowered the cost of living and prescription drugs. But there's more to do. He gets it because we all deserve dignity, safety, respect, and a chance to do more than just get by, but to get ahead.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches. I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. For the final few moments I got with you today, I wanted to bring a story to light, and especially here for the city of Los Angeles, as we talk about the brutal murders of two Black models that were found dead in their downtown Los Angeles apartments just a couple of days apart. This is the story of Melissa Mooney, who you see there, and Nicole Nikki Coates. These are two sisters. They don't know each other, but their family members found Nicole Coates, who was 32 years old, inside her apartment on September the 10th. And then, according to KTLA 5 News here, and then it was also reported that they also found Melissa Mooney, 31 years old, dead inside of her apartment around 4 p.m. on September 12th after conducting a welfare check. Now, the families of both Melissa and Nikki are greatly concerned that there may be some sort of pattern in these killings because of the nature of the circumstances. Now, of course, the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office is investigating the cause of death for both of these sisters, but Nikki Coates' case is deemed a quote-unquote suspicious death. Now, for Melissa Mooney's family, they are growing worried that when a week had passed without her responding to their calls and texts. And so that's when they went further along to try to check on her. and had found her in found her dead in her apartment. The last time that anyone had heard from Nicole Coates, according to the report, was on September 8th, when she told friends she was going on a date. She answered no calls or texts that weekend, and that prompted her father and her aunt to visit her apartment complex in downtown Los Angeles. Sharon Coates' mom said the scene was gruesome, noting that family members found her daughter's bed bloodied. And she couldn't even recognize, Mae Stevens said she couldn't even recognize her niece and believed someone murdered her, noting that one of her legs was in a kicking position. According to the latest report coming from the LAPD, there's no additional information regarding the deaths at this time, but both families feel like there may be a predator loose, even going as far as to say that there might be a serial killer in search of their next victim. Now, again, police has not confirmed that, but there is similarities in how these two sisters were killed in their apartment. So I want to, again, Lisa and Chris, let's put up their pictures once again. I want to invite all of you, and I'm going to post this on my social, and I invite y'all to do the same, crew. Let's try to see if we can find some sense of peace and justice for the families of Melissa Mooney and Nikki Coates. And I've told sisters that I know here that please be careful. Please be careful as you're moving about around the city. Please be careful about the folks that you entertain. And certainly, please be careful about people you let into your home. And I think this is a very, very important case. We're going to see how this situation pans out. But our hearts and prayers go with the family. Our condolences are with the Moonies and with the Coates family. But again, folks, if you have any information, please contact the Los Angeles Police Department, and we will certainly keep our eyes open on this situation. But I really, really hope that this doesn't turn into a serial killer situation. But again, that's the concern of the family. That has not been confirmed by the LAPD or the LA Coroner's Department, LA County Coroner's Office. They are still trying to figure out the cause of death, but it does look suspicious in one case. So I wanted to put out there, again, our condolences, our hearts and our prayers are with the families of Melissa Mooney and Nikki Coates. And again, folks, if you have any information, if you are in the LA City, LA County area, and you have any information about what has happened to these sisters, please, please, by all means, follow up with the authorities, and let's make sure that these families get some form of justice. Karen, you checked in and said this was very sad. Even though everyone is grown, we should not go anywhere without giving a family member or close friend the name of who you are with and where you are going. Absolutely. Great point, Karen. Thank you so much for posting that. Absolutely. Especially for if you are a single woman, you're living alone, let friends and family know, I'm going on a date. I'm going out with this person. I'm seeing that person. That way that you can create a buddy system, a support network. You got to be careful. And for the fellas, for the brothers, for the men, that's what we encourage. We should encourage that. We should encourage that. If you're going out with a lady, just, hey, did you let your friends know where you are? That type of encouragement, creating a space where a woman feels safe to be around you. It makes all the difference in the world, folks. And to my brothers, we have to be vigilant. We don't want to come off as creepy. We don't want to come off as like, somebody's father. But at the end of the day, you want to make sure that if you're out or if you have a family member or a sister, check on them, make sure that they're good, follow up with them, and all of that. Create a system. Hey, text me when you get home from your date, or text me when you have the space with this person or that person, especially if you're meeting somebody. So we just can't play any games with that. So once again, let's put the pictures back up to these sisters. But Lisa Mooney, Nikki Coates, their families need your help. Let's try to see if we can bring some justice to these families so that way they can put their loved ones to rest. But two beautiful sisters lost their lives in their own homes within a 2-day period. They were both killed within a 2-day time frame. And so this is so tragic, so tragic here in the city of Los Angeles. And certainly we will keep our eyes on this situation. All right, folks, this is that's going to do it for us. I thank each and every one of you. I thank you, my crew, for checking in. Again, if we want to make that story viral, I've sent some of you crew, the crew members this story, and I'll try to send out more so we can really garner some talk and some interest around this. So, you know, your support of this process, it will be greatly appreciated. But I thank y'all for tuning in so much. I thank my man Scotty for tuning in. I thank John Goldstein for being a part of the conversation as well. So Scotty, thank you, sir, and always being a part of the conversation and always having something to say. Folks, and certainly I want to thank my production team. I want to thank Joel and Shannon. I want to thank Maddie, Chris Leese, and my man King Keenan for making us look and sound so good. Do your due diligence, folks. If you enjoyed the conversations here on Black Star Network, go to our website today at blackstarnetwork.com. blackstarnetwork.com. Download the app for free. Follow us on social media, and we would love your support. And I thank all of you that have already supported us. And I thank all of you for being there with us throughout this whole process. We are expanding the platform. We are moving in bigger and better ways, but your investment makes all the difference for us. So definitely follow us on social media. And also, let me see my notification. My notifications ain't up. I need y'all to really follow me. Let's connect, man. Let's build. Let's do what we can do. You can follow me, yours truly, Farajii Muhammad, at The Real Farajii on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. I'm on Threads. I said Twitter, X. I'm sorry, X, formerly known as Twitter. You can follow me there, but I need to see some notifications. I need to see my followers go up. I would love to connect with you. I love to share with you. I love to talk to you. I try to get to as many people as possible, but I would love to connect with y'all. So make sure y'all follow me on social media as well. And let's do our due diligence there. Follow Roland Martin as well. We know that, you know, the things that he's doing, the work that he's doing is absolutely critical. So follow him. And make sure y'all check us out on the network as we're streaming a lot of great content over these past few days. So it's a lot to talk about, whether it's the vice president, whether it's the Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, with the UAW strike, whatever the content is, we're streaming it because we want to make sure we're doing our part to keep you informed about what's happening in and around Black America. So definitely stay tuned for that. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. Stay tuned. Up next at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we will talk tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture right here, only here, exclusively here on the Black Star Network. Talk to you soon. Peace.